But I was going to say, about the last one actually, go into one. Anyway, something that kind of keeps my interest going in doing all this is the way you can break down, like animation is all single frame, whether it's photography or not, like these ones, and to take the images and break them down in a single frame and just look at one frame, but actually then putting, say, an image back together, but spreading it out over a series of frames. So instead of having one completed picture on a frame, I've been trying to make like these clusters kind of, where the information is coming out at 24 frames per second. So if there was even just 12 frames of information on there, they overlap so quick in half a second that we receive an image that actually doesn't exist on the film. So you can follow that? Like if you're to unroll the film and see some of these images, they don't look anything like what they do on the film because there's the overlaps of those images and things. So that's where I've been, these explorations have been leading anyway. So I don't know, keeps me going. So the next film is really just completed last month. Or so, actually in September, end of September. It's a commission piece. It's from the Toronto Animator Richard Society in Toronto. And they commissioned 11 animators across Canada to do, each one of us was assigned an artist from a group called the Painters 11, which some of you might know. They were during the 1950s. They were presented in Toronto anyway, the first abstract paintings ever seen in Toronto. And they did an art show on the street in the windows of the Hudson Bay Company or something, and it kind of shocked. It wasn't met with very good reaction. People hadn't seen abstract art in Toronto, and they were shocked and outraged by it. And so we were each assigned, Jack Bush is one of these people. I was assigned Walter Yarwood, and I didn't know much about Walter at the time, so I did research on the internet and tried to find out what I could find out about him. And he was the only one of the group that actually did sculptures. So I thought, okay, this is interesting because I was also traveling at the time, and I knew the other 10 artists. When they were told that we could begin the project, they would start, but I wouldn't. I'd still be out moving around, kind of. And so I thought I needed a technique that I knew that when I could get my studio set up again, which wasn't until June actually this year, that I could work quickly and still make the film. And I thought sculpture, carving. I started making these rubber stamps that with a Dremel tool. And so I researched Walter's imagery, both his paintings and the sculptures, and took parts out, like all of the shapes in the film come from his paintings or sculptures, mostly the sculptures actually. And I carved stamps out and put the stamp in a bleach and pressed it onto the film. And it took some experimenting. Some were like 3 seconds and some were 20 seconds. It's like exposing almost. This bleach is like an exposure onto the film. And then lifted it up, and voila, there was an image that looked nothing like I expected. But time was ticking, I had to go with it, so I made more. I made a whole pile of these stamps and just kept stamping them. And yeah, like the month of June, I think I saw every sunrise for 6 weeks, working, trying to catch up in the time factor from being a little behind in the project. And anyway, so yeah, things worked out. I got caught up, but again, like that zigzag project, the time came where I had to send the film away, and I hadn't finished the soundtrack to it, and I thought, sound, neat sound. So these outrageous artists and their abstract world, I needed outrageous, like something that's different, not so much musical or something. And so I decided maybe to be out of sync a little bit and really create outrage. And I used Morse code. I thought I would do the Morse code onto the film, and so I thought, the first bit, actually the Morse code, it says, this film is dedicated to Walter Yarwood. And it just keeps like repeating, but by the second time I was getting really bored of these same shapes, so I started playing. The Morse code stays the same, true to the code, but the audio, I started sticking in different lines. So it starts going up and down, but it's still the same time code. And then just so that I thought too much of this Morse code all the way through. So there is like some other breaks in there. There's a heartbeat and some pulsations and things. And then I rolled it up, put it in the can, and sent it to Toronto. Didn't even look at it. And I had no idea if it worked or if anything was that more outrage. And they phoned, and And I was really nervous because they phoned in and said, we're transferring your film to DVD format, and we have a question regarding the transfer. And that was on my answering machine, and then I just started breaking into a sweat, and no. It was crazy. So I phoned them, and they said they liked the film, and it was okay, and it was more like a technical question. Funny thing is, though, no one will ever know this, but 3 pieces of the sound fell off during the transfer, which is really rare. Usually I'm very neurotic about making sure that nothing will fall off those films. You know, you can play them in a projector, but something happened, and Maddie Pillar, she's the director there at Teus, and phoned me, and I know Maddie really well, and she said, do you want me to put those sounds back on? So I'm like, okay, but do you know where they came from on the film? And she actually had scrolled through the film and saw all the sounds, and I had sprayed it with this acrylic spray that was supposed to keep things stuck down, and she saw where they actually came off and was able to splice them back on for me. So yeah, that kind of worked. So anyway, I don't think anyone would notice the spelling error in the Morse code anyway, but maybe somebody might. So this one is 4 minutes long, just a little over 4 minutes, and it's a kind of a secret screening, so don't tell anyone you saw it here because it's premiering next week in Toronto. and with the other 10 films, so we'll see it actually. But today, the only copy I have right now is on DVD format, so it is on 35, so hopefully you'll get a chance to see all of the 11 films on their original formats in the future. So let's have a look and see.